Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this Apagón de Nervios interview with confidence. We have Stephanie Hurtado Lonard presenting for us today, and she is the CEO of Clarifica, a limited liability company. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Thank you, Arlisa. Very happy to be here. And yes, as we are going to go over a couple slides, this is going to be a quick, concise, and straight to the point presentation. But first, before I get started, I would like to hear if any of you have already participated or listened to any interview presentations before in your lifetime. Raise your hand or do some emojis. Oh, yep. Okay, so just half of you guys. All right, so this is your first time. If this is your first time, there's a lot of keywords that are going to be popping up that you haven't heard before. And if you have already, there's going to be some common phrases that you have already heard. However, there are a couple secrets I'll give you from personal experience from being a recruiter and also an interviewee. All right, with that, I will present myself. My name is Stephanie Hurtado Lonard. I have been a SHIP Time Lifetime member for a little bit over 15 years, maybe 18 years. I graduated college 15 years ago. I had experience in engineering for about 12 years, and out of those 12 years, I've had my own company as a recruiter. Yes, an engineer, interviewing other engineers to match them with other companies. That was my previous company, and which is why it makes me an eligible candidate to provide you these helpful tips that we're going to learn today. And now I'm with my second business, Clarifica. And let's see. So today's not about me. Today is about how we can help you with that interview. So let's see. All right. So before you ever start any test, any presentation, any public speaking opportunity, what do you have to do? Any takers? I need to hear from the public because otherwise it's not going to be interactive. So unmute yourself and let me know what you think. What do you need for a presentation or a test? What do you need to do? Go ahead.
Definitely prepare.
Prepare. Very good. What else do you need?
You need to research the company that you're going to interview with.
Yes, very good. What else? One more. Okay, no takers? Okay. So before the interview, you prepare yourself. And how do you prepare yourself is the question, right? Because you will hear a lot of tips of saying, well, you have to gain confidence. Well, how do you gain confidence? How do you prepare yourself before the interview? And that's what we're going to really go into detail. Whoops. Not sure what happened there. Sorry about that. All right. So before the interview, we research. Who do we research? What do we research? We research the company first of all. How do we research the company? Well, there are journals out there. There's LinkedIn out there. And by journals, I mean every industry has articles about who awards to what company projects. So let's just take Blue Origin as an example. Blue Origin. All right, there are the clients and they have a lot of subcontractors. And say you're interviewing with one of the subcontractors and maybe they make an announcement on their front page of what client they won a bid. That's exactly what they want to hear whenever they ask you, what do you need? What do you know about the company? Is exactly what project did they win? What client are they working with? They want to know that you researched and that you're passionate about what project you potentially be working for or with, what client. Explore the app that you will use. This will only be applicable if it's a virtual interview, right? So if you have a virtual interview, you must, by preparation, we mean test out the app, test out the web browser, test out your internet 20 minutes in advance. Don't wait 10 minutes, don't wait 5 minutes. There's always technical difficulties. And if it's in-person interview, might want to go visit the site to see where you park. So that is very, very, very necessary because you don't want to be looking for a parking spot right on the day off. So those are 2 tips for in-person and virtual. Make sure your audio and video is working if it's a virtual interview, and practice meditation or calming techniques. So if you have fidget toys, make sure to take them. And let me tell you, if they recognize the fidget toy, that might be an icebreaker. All right. So we said research about the company and the interviewer. So what tools can we use to research about the interview, the interviewer? Oh, do we have someone on the chat? Oh, getting lost, late due to getting lost. Yes, that is one important thing. So what tools do we use to research a person online? Any guesses?
Google.
I'm not. Yes, go ahead.
I was saying use Google.
Google. Okay. What else?
I've also used Glassdoor to search
I'm
up.
sorry?
I've used Glassdoor in the past to search up interview questions.
Yes. But what about the person, the interviewer? LinkedIn. Yes, I see it on the chat. LinkedIn is a very good tool. And let me show you that LinkedIn, there are ways that you can tell what they post in the past on LinkedIn will make a difference for the icebreaker. Also, there's a section on LinkedIn about their interests or the people they follow, celebrities, or the school they went to. Say there was an alumni or your family went to that university that they attended, or it tells you about the town that they grew up. And that could be an icebreaker because you're trying to tailor your answers towards the values and the feelings of that interviewer. All right, so I'll say that again. You are trying to tailor, customize your answers, not too much the job description, but a way to connect with the interviewer. And that's very important. Why? Because at the end of the day, an interview is a conversation between 2 parties. And the only way that you can really build a chemistry is if you click. And if you click is when you prepare your answers to match what they actually like and dislike, right? If they advocate for something so strongly. And you can tell that a lot about their LinkedIn profile or their social media. Say they have Instagram. Say you can see the mutual connections. The mutual connections is also key. That will tell you, oh, did you work with so and so in some company? Awesome. I also did. Aren't they a great person? Or something very positive. Always leave with a positive note. So, as much as is important about the company, also the interviewer. And the interviewer, you're always going to know the name, the first name, and the last name once they email you with a confirmation of the interview details. What's next? The questions. Questions are very, very necessary to write them down. I'm not sure what type of learning style do you have, whether you're a visual learner or you're a picture, you're all about audio learner. However you learn, is the way that you should practice your questions. And number one thing, there's a lot of research backed up with this, is if you physically write down the question and then write down the answer of the typical questions that you find online, you must know if it's a technical interview, they should identify that. And they should let you know if it's a behavioral interview. Those two things matter because the questions will differ, right? If it's a technical, you better know how a pump works, right? You better know the design, the process of it, or anything that is technical to that position. And the way that you know is that you have to really research the job description and the people that work in that company and ask them questions. So there's a lot of hours that go into this preparation. And the very first question, it's almost 90% of the time, is tell me about yourself. And that is not for you to repeat your whole resume. It's an opportunity for you to say something that is not on your resume. And then on the next slide, I'll give you a template. Okay, so let's see. What do you know about this company? One second. Sorry about that. All right, where was I? So what do you know about this company is one of the questions that they'll ask you. And that is where your research is going to be available to you, and you're going to be well prepared for that. And remember the number one template that I gave you about what do you know about this company? Can you hear me, guys? I hear some background.
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So the number one point that they're going to ask you about the company is local. The local department that you are going to be part of. What do you know about that department? And then what do you know about how is it impactful to the community locally or area-wise, regionally? Then you can go national-wise, because even if you share something national, they might not even know if it's a huge company. Fortune 500 companies don't know everything that happens around the whole company. So that's another thing that you might have to research even deeper. And the way that you do that is by researching who works from your network on LinkedIn inside of that company. You need to figure out the insiders. All right, what motivates you? The way that you answer this question is more about your values, right? What makes you wake up in the morning? And always related to the job description. All of these questions. Why are you leaving your previous job? What are your goals in the future? Where do you see yourself in the 5 years? Why should we hire you? The why should we hire you is a strengths question. All of these questions are hidden in different variations. So these are your typical questions that I'm giving you, and you might want to write them down because they typically will ask you in different ways, but these are the contents of what they're asking. The strengths and weakness could be the same thing as, okay, well, what makes you unique? The unique is what makes you stand out? Why should I hire you? Do you see how these two questions are exactly the same thing? It's the same answer that I want to hear. So in the next slide, I give you a template about one of the questions. Tell me about yourself. This should be the formula. I'm someone who thrives on problem solving and learning new things. I'm already giving you my strength. Over the last few years, I've gained experience in blah, blah, blah industry. Where have I had the chance to hone my skills in specific skills? I'm passionate about blank the role, and I'm always looking for ways to challenge myself and grow. When I'm not working, you'll likely find me and you share something personal about a hobby, which helps me to stay balanced and creative. Okay, so that's just a general formula. Now, during the interview, what is expected out of you is, it's just really the general values that they teach you at home when you're a kid. Be punctual, be polite, be prepared, be positive, dress appropriately. Are they all going to be wearing, I don't know, are you going into a field job? Are they all going to be with jeans? You might want to ask the HR, what is appropriate attire for me to show up? Are you going to have a plant tour? Make sure to take some PPE, even though they already have it. Make sure to take a copy of your resume. All of those things do matter. All right. Now, whenever they ask you about the previous company, never, never, ever, ever badmouth a former employer. No matter how negative it was, you can always say with a diplomatic answer, it, it was a time for me to grow in different ways. There was a time that I needed to explore other opportunities for career advancement. Do you see what I did there? So far, do we have any questions from the public? Any questions at all? Comments? Any sharing the story? Okay, we have a shy audience. No one? No takers? Okay, let's move on. And I said this was going to be quick, so at the end of the interview, they always ask you, do you have any questions? Now, one thing that I do must mention is that the method that during the interview, let's go back for a little bit. During the interview, I did wanted to mention that there are different methods of how to answer a question. However, storytelling is the number one method that you should just have it clear in your mind that you should answer a question, interview question. However, you're going to hear acronyms of as a STAR method. You're going to hear about different kinds of methods, and those can be practice with during mock interviews that SHIP could probably offer you. There's a mentor that can probably give you a mock interview. Those opportunities, I assure you, is going to really help you to prepare for an interview. So make sure to look up the STAR method and also do a mock interview. Okay, with that being said, at the end of the interview, you typically are asked, do you have any questions, right? And a lot of people get stuck in this phase. And some of the questions that I have heard from candidates whenever I used to interview is, what is the biggest challenge currently facing the company or department is facing? That is something that tells you the current status, how the department feels at this time, how the company is not doing so good, and you might come into a different time. At least it tells you the phase or the stage of the project or the company. Say the company is going through a merger. At least it paints you a better picture of what you're getting into. How would you personally describe the culture in the team? That tells you whether you're coming into what type of team do they receive? Are they a team of very new team, or are they reluctant to change? Those are the cultural questions that you might want to ask. May I ask, why is this position vacant? Now, this is a very bold question, but it's quite necessary. It gives you a lot of information about the position. How is the team structured? This gives the indication to the interviewer that you are interested and you're already picturing yourself to being part of the team. What type of project would I be first assigned? Now, this question is already getting your hands dirty and saying, oh, I like to be more involved. I'm very enthusiastic and I'm very interested in what type of projects would I be first assigned. So you can pick any of those questions and you'll be good to go. Now, this is something that a lot of the candidates do forget to do, and that is thanking the interviewer, sending a follow-up. And typically a timeline that I give as advice is about a week follow-up, but you think right away. So send a thank you email right away, say the next day, and then a follow-up email within a week if you haven't heard. And then every week. So put it on your calendar that every Monday or every Wednesday morning you send a follow-up email to see the status of your interview. That was my whole presentation to you. However, I would like to hear more about you guys. What questions, specific scenarios that you would like me to go over?
You mentioned practicing meditation and calming techniques before the interview. Are there any particular ones that you like to do?
Yes, I like to. I value very much security, and I value punctuality a lot. So because I value those two things, my punctuality is to have alarm systems, right? And so because I have those safeguards already on my phone, it calls me and soothes me that, oh, I'm not going to miss any deadline. So I don't have any anxiety once I have those alarm and safeguards placed. One, so that's my call me method. Two is I don't take a shower the day before. I take a shower the day of the interview, an hour before. In that way, I'm all refreshed, and that is another calming method that I have.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Concerns, questions, specific experiences? Was this helpful? Have you heard of this before? What was new that you heard today?
I guess one more thing is
Sure.
I'm not sure if your slides were showing, but I was wondering about that template you had about when they ask you, or you mentioned having a certain template. I don't know if that was one of the slides.
Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, it looks like it may be stuck on the typical question slide.
Is it this one?
It's still showing the typical question slide,
It's not right.
at least for me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it showed us the typical questions. I thought that was
So this whole time it didn't go through the slides?
it went through a few up until the typical questions.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that. All right. So did you guys see this one?
No, that one didn't show up.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. So because of that, so the template that I was talking about was this one. So I was just showing one of the questions, how it was a formula.
Okay, yeah, this was the one I was wondering about.
So this whole presentation can be shared to you guys. I wouldn't have a problem with that. So yes, and typically what you would like to do is to answer each of the most common questions, and there's several more, but one other question that is very typical is, let's say, have you had a conflict with a coworker or your manager, and tell me how you handled it. So make sure to write down that question and answer it as a scenario. But you have to, the key is to keep it very concise, no more than, let's just say, 4 sentences. And you have to time yourself each time that you answer as well. So I know that that takes a lot of work, but I kid you not that once you keep memorizing and really practicing over and over the answers to those questions, you will be more prepared than the other candidate that comes along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that made sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Are the slides showing now?
Yes, they're showing.
Okay.